Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros, or should I say Parks Booze, in the Halloween spirit, because today I will be reviewing Dark Ride at Knott's Scary Farm. So this is going to be the first review of the mazes at Knott's Scary Farm, at least the ones that I've been through as of the past week. I went to Knott's Scary Farm for the first time ever, so I was really excited to go through my first mazes and some of my first scare zones at Knott's Scary Farm last weekend. And my first maze that we stopped at was Dark Ride. Now, Dark Ride is themed to an old, kind of broken down dark ride at an old, like, carnival, like kind of an abandoned carnival that is filled to the brim with murderous clowns. Sounds kind of crazy in concept, but I love how it actually is in reality. But let's jump right into this review. So Dark Ride is located in the dance hall slash ballroom that is right next door to the Boardwalk Barbecue, and in between Hang Time and the Timber Mountain Log Ride, and it neighbors Panda Express, and then the Calico Mine Ride is just a little bit farther than Panda Express on that side. So the queue will come out towards where Boardwalk Barbecue is, and honestly looks can be deceiving because when we went, it said it was going to be a 45-minute wait. It ended up being under 15 minutes. We just kept walking through. The switchbacks went all the way to the exit of Accelerator pretty much, maybe give or take about 10 feet, but we went through that line crazy quick. So if you do see that it says it's a longer wait, it most likely isn't for Dark Ride, at least. Now, if you don't want any spoilers to this maze, I do not actually have any footage myself of inside this maze. There are tons of videos out there that you can find, though, I'm sure. But I will be talking about kind of spoilery things. If you do not want it to be spoiled, I definitely recommend to click away. So you do enter into the first room, and it's got like a homeless guy with an axe in his shoulder, which is already kind of a weird start, but I kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie. But then you start traversing some of these hallways that progressively get more and more disturbing. So you can even see like parts of a Dark Ride track throughout the first couple rooms, as well as even some Dark Ride cars with different theming being in each room, from a graveyard to an electrical room to even a magical wizard fighting a dragon. But one thing I noticed with our one walkthrough is that there were a lot of corners that did not have a scare actor, and I think that's just because we were in the middle of a cast change. So that is just something that will happen from time to time when you go through mazes at haunt events. There will be some times when you're let in and you will not get nearly as many scares as the usual. So it does kind of suck that we didn't get any scares that we should have during the maze. Well, maybe not any scares, but not nearly as many as we should have gotten on a regular run through. But that's just something that you have to risk whenever you go to a maze or a haunt event, just like Scary Farm. But it was very interesting walking through Dark Ride and seeing a lot of these actors try and scare the people behind you. But I think that's just because I was in a group of guys and they didn't really go for us all night. This was just the thing at Scary Farm in general. If you do have a girl with you, or it is a group of girls, they will go for you about 10 times more than a group of guys or just a singular guy. But there were tons of times we ended up walking by scare actors and they didn't even flinch towards us. And that was a little disappointing in the first maze, just because I was expecting at least a couple scares with some of the actors that I was looking at. Now, maybe they didn't scare just because I saw them and already knew what they were going to do, but yeah, not too many scares in general, which kind of did stink, but it was definitely because of a cast change, as well as we were in a group of 6 guys in a row and we were all smiling and having a great time instead of being scared. So then about halfway through the ride, you hit a strobe light room, which is filled with mirrors on both sides, and it is the most harsh to try and navigate room in all of Scary Farm. I could not see a thing whatsoever, and that added to it for sure, but it gets to the point where it's a little too much, I would say, because Zach, who was directly in front of me, actually had a rubber head smack him in the face at full force because of the guy in front of him lifting it up to get it out of the way, and because we couldn't see anything, it just kept hitting us in the face whenever we'd walk by it. So, but I must say the set design is beautiful. The mirror room was really well done. I really wish there was a scare in there though, but I'm guessing that's just because of the cast change itself. Now after the mirror room, you go through some more rooms, which end up getting a little less and less detailed, more kind of murdery vibes than actual Dark Ride vibes, which is okay. It's trying to tell a story that it has decayed over time, and you can even hear that in the music, where the music starts out with the regular theme, because Dark Ride has its own theme song, and it's all perfect, and then you start getting through more and more rooms, and it becomes more distorted and broken up, and I really loved that detail, because you're hearing that same song the entire time, and it gets worse and worse as you're going through the ride, and it even includes some breakdowns every once in a while, where all the animatronics and everything inside the maze will actually stop with the song when it glitches out. And then before you know it, you are at the final room, which is a giant stage with a bunch of scare actors that are jumping around and doing a lot of crazy stuff. There was even a stilt walker in there, and a lot of scare actors up high where you wouldn't be able to see them if you were just looking straight out, which was a really nice effect, but nothing coming from the low. And the room itself at the end was pretty small compared to what I would have said it looked like on camera or from last year, which kind of disappointed me a little bit, just because last year it was a huge room and there was like slides everywhere and everything like that, but there was none of those this year, at least that we could see or that they didn't use. Then you end up exiting the ride after seeing a bunch of clowns and the musical score going to this giant climax, which was a really nice touch. But yeah, and then you're out on the streets next to Timber Mountain Log Ride. And I must say, this maze was a great first maze to start out on, and I think that's also because of the cast change, just because there weren't as many scares, but definitely not as lengthy as I would have liked, but definitely a great starter maze, I think, for this year, because it does give kind of a more whimsical vibe compared to some of the other mazes at Scary Farm. Now, in the video that we did at Scary Farm, I thought it was one of the best things I had ever done at a theme park, but that's also because it was my first ever maze, and I had that adrenaline buzz that I usually haven't had for a long time now, at least riding coasters, so it's a really nice change to go through mazes and get that same buzz that I used to get from coasters themselves. But it is a definite great maze. I loved pretty much most of it. There were some parts where I was a little disappointed, but I think that's just to be expected with a maze that is not in its first year of operation, and that seems to be a common theme with Not Scary Farm, at least from what I've been told from friends that have gone in years past. Usually the first year of a maze is going to be the best year of a maze. So that really makes me want to go back in time and go last year and see what that maze was really like in person, because it looked amazing last year. It still looks really great this year, especially after walking through it, but it just didn't give the same level of immersion, I think, this year. But I think that's a big problem with going in the middle of a cast change, but it's just something as a park goer that, you know, you have to deal with from time to time. So overall, I'm gonna rate this maze a 7.5 out of 10. Now, if I'd actually gotten scared on it with the few scares that we actually had, it probably would have been higher, but I had no scares whatsoever in this maze. There was no one that jumped out at me at all. I think there was only one character that actually interacted with me on this maze, so kind of a bummer, but there were about 10 scare actors missing at least. So, but yeah, 7.5 out of 10. I still enjoyed it a heck of a lot. It's really one of my favorite concepts for a maze that I've seen at Scary Farm. But yeah, just kind of missed a little bit of that oomph that would have really put it over. But I hope you guys have enjoyed my little review of Dark Ride at Not Scary Farm this year. I really did enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I would have expected, if that makes any sense. But it's still a great maze nonetheless, and I can't wait to go in without a cast change happening. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And of course, as always, we'll see ya on the next fright.